Okay, this is Arthur Coldwell's from Ultimate Motorcycling Magazine, and we have spent today riding the new Honda Goldwing. It's a big difference to the old one. We also spent some miles on the older version, on the previous gen, and although we really can't say anything bad about that bike, this really is a big leap ahead. The upgrades really are the front suspension, the DCT gearbox from the redesigned motor, and of course the whole riding ergonomics has really changed as well. So I've brought my other half Mary with me, and she spent the day riding on the back, and I'll be interested to get some of her impressions as well. So what did you think of the new bike?
Well, I thought the new bike was extremely comfortable considering that it is very tailored down from the 2017 model. And from a passenger's point of view, I personally thought it was more comfortable than the older version because the seat is more narrow. I'm closer to the rider, so there's less wind buffering throughout.
So you were more comfortable on the new bike?
I am, because one thing that I immediately noticed with the new seat is that it's a more upright position, and in a fast acceleration you're not being pushed back so far when there's a lean on the seat with the weight of a helmet pulling you back. So it's a much more comfortable ride when you're traveling at higher speeds and acceleration.
What did you think about the airflow over it? Because the aerodynamics on the new motorcycle are very different. We now have an electrically adjustable windshield, which can go from really about a little under eye height for the rider up to really very tall. So did you notice there was a big difference in the airflow?
Considering it was a very windy day, I did notice a difference when I tapped you and I said, raise up the shield, and I definitely did notice a difference. I was less, forced by the wind, and so it was much more comfortable for me as a passenger, and I think that was a great feature to have. I definitely noticed it, especially in high winds, that it did help protect a little bit more.
Well, one of the big changes, of course, is the suspension, and especially at the front end from a rider perspective, I really felt the bike feels a lot smoother, just road surface and just ripples and bumps and so on. And interestingly, it's not that the front is spongy at all, because actually you get more feedback through the new front end than we did on the older one. And the previous generation bike was very comfortable. I mean, the suspension soaked everything up, but it really was a lot more just spongy than the new one. The new generation the bike just feels smoother, and it just glides across everything. So the new suspension is a radical change, and I think anybody who's familiar with the old generation is going to be very impressed with the new one. Did you notice anything on the back with the suspension between the two different bikes?
For me as a passenger, I think one of the main concerns is the security and the feeling very secure in the seat. I know in the older model the hand grips are much easier to grab, but to be honest with you, I didn't even feel like I needed them with this seat. I was very comfortable, very secure. So that was one thing that I felt was important. Another thing from a passenger's point of view, when you're traveling, a lot of people think, okay, so the baggage is slightly smaller again. I think we had plenty of room for all of our gear, and so I wouldn't be concerned with that. I think that was, it makes the bike seem a little, smooth. I'm sure for you, lighter to handle, and it's just much smoother ride. So I think the design is fantastic on this.
Yeah, the thing I really like about it is the bike is something like 90 pounds lighter than the previous gen. So the bike, it feels very agile. It's very precise to ride. It's very easy to place in corners. You can pick the line that you want and take it. Now, the previous generation actually stuck to a line really well. It was really nice to ride it. You could turn in and just set it into a corner and it would stick there. But the new generation, it just gives you that much more feedback. And a couple of times, in fact, yesterday we were riding in the wet, and a couple of times I had to change line a little bit. And the new bike is much easier to do that. It feels a lot more stable, and ultimately you just feel more connected to the motorcycle. The new one really is that good. The other thing you mentioned about the armrests, now there are accessory armrests that you get. Would you?
Yes, I could give a little extension to the armrest. These are slightly a little short, but again, it doesn't hinder the security feeling that I had. So the accessories would be nice to extend out a little more for a longer journey. I think would be fantastic. I know they also have a rack that can go on the back bag for an extra bag to be strapped on. So there's a lot of things that you can add to the bike for a little more longer travel, I would say they would be ideal for. But the seat is extremely comfortable, everything.
Yeah, it was for the rider too, yeah.
You know, this version versus the 2017, I felt for me as a passenger, it was less effort on my part. I had more comfort and ease, and I didn't feel like I had to work at riding, whereas on the other bike, I felt like I had to participate a little more in holding on and, especially in this acceleration,
Right.
And when you're wearing a helmet, when you're being pulled back like that, it's a little strenuous on your neck as a passenger when you're not expecting a quick acceleration. So the upright seat and everything is, to me, a big plus.
The other big difference in the new generation is now, of course, Honda have been able to add their dual clutch transmission, otherwise known as DCT. And the DCT transmission is essentially an automated transmission. Now, we've had other stories that have gone into great depth on how this works. But essentially, this bike was fitted with the DCT, and I absolutely loved it as a rider. It is so smooth. It always seems to be in the right gear at the right time. On the very odd occasion that you feel you need a quick change down for a burst of acceleration, maybe to get past a car or accelerate hard out of a corner, you just tap the manual gear down button, and then boom, it just goes down a gear, and you've got everything you need. So did you feel anything as a passenger in terms of smoothness compared to the previous gen when I was manually shifting? This was automatic.
Oh, without a doubt, much smoother, it's...
Now that's not taking into account my horrible riding, of course.
No, you're very smooth, even with a manual, but no, this was very nice. It was just...
It's very smooth.
Comfortable ride.
Okay. So that's about it for the 2018 Goldwing. Please check back with Ultimate Motorcycling and ultimatemotorcycling.com, where we will do a full write-up on our 2-day long ride through Texas Hill Country.